Hello, and welcome to Hello Sister, a Vampire Diaries podcast with a magical twist.
We're your hosts, Christina Rosso-Schneider
and Brenna Dinon. Christina, how's it going today?
You know, I'm doing pretty well. Beginning of the week. St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to all who celebrate.
Yes. I was going to I know this, but our listeners, they're still getting to know us. Are you Irish? Do you celebrate?
Am I Irish? Do I celebrate? Well, according to my Ancestry.com, yes. Well, my name is Brenna, for starters, so that is maybe the first tell. But yeah, on my dad's side, I am like pretty not fully 50%, but nearly. Like I'm pretty much that. My dad's family is like down to the place like Munster, Ireland is like where we can be. Our family can be traced to, which is kind of cool.
Sounds like Monster.
Yeah, it does. And like the cheese,
which also delicious.
So I love. But what about you?
So it's interesting. And I was trying, on my I'm a true mutt in so many ways. Obviously, I look very Irish with my red hair. I am Scots-Irish.
Okay.
And so for people who don't know what that is, and for myself who didn't actually really kind of understand what that is, the answer is like yes and no for whether or not I'm Irish. Because on my mom's side, I think actually on my dad's side of the family too, we're from all over England, Scotland, Ireland, etc. But the Scottish family of mine were Protestants. Oh. And with everything, I actually read earlier today that my girl, I love the Tudors. They are my favorite dynasty. Yes, shout out to Elizabeth I, one of my favorite redheads. She was the first person to use the term Scotch-Irish.
Oh.
Yeah. And so obviously maybe not obviously to everyone, but she was a Protestant, which is what was creating a lot of tension, right? With her father converting to being Protestant, divorcing his first wife, marrying Anne Boleyn, having Elizabeth. But so Protestant Scots, who were called Ulster Scots, ended up moving to Ireland, I don't think by choice. And it was not, for many of those folks, it wasn't a great transition just because Ireland, Catholic.
Very Catholic.
So there was some tension. But from what I've read, and I should ask my mom because she's like big on genealogy and she would probably know how many generations of my family was in Ireland. But from what I read, it was slow, specifically James VI, who takes over the monarchy, right? Scottish. After Elizabeth dies,
Mary Queen of Scots.
Yes, Mary Queen of Scots' son. He was slow to give Scots basically permission to go to what became America. So it would have been for most of these Ulster Scots, multiple generations that they lived in Ireland. So like, several decades, et cetera, like that there were more children and things being born. So when I last asked my mom if I was Irish, to kind of come back on that, she said yes. She was like, yes, and it's more complicated than that. So I was also reading that a lot of the Scot-Irish ended up coming specifically to Philadelphia area, which is really interesting. So something to explore. But
that's so
the answer
cool.
is yes and...
Yes, and with some caveats.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I do dabble on the Ancestry.com at times just because it is very deeply fascinating to me. And we have a little bit of Scottish with the parts that aren't the majority Irish. There's a little bit of Scottish. There's, I think maybe, I don't know if there's Welsh. Maybe potentially, but it's interesting how it all kind of comes out too, because you could also just have ancestry that even is like, I believe, I'm not 100% certain because I don't know, I'm still kind of like unpacking these things, but I do know that you can still have like ancestry that's not even like showing up in your own DNA. So I do think that I think from my paternal, like my dad's mom's like that lineage, I believe, has some English ancestry as well. And It's interesting, but I do love being Irish.
Do you celebrate? Have you celebrated today?
Well, so it's complicated, as you know, with us as witches. Do you know like the story of like the St. Patrick's story?
I actually don't know a ton about it. Like I've heard a little bit, but if you want to share with our viewers.
Are you ready for this? Okay, so I mean, I haven't really like formally looked this up in a really long time, but technically, I believe, and go ahead and fact check me out the wazoo because this is just off the cuff. So I did not look into this prior to me having this come out of my mouth. But St. Patrick apparently was driving the snakes out of Ireland, which was like a metaphor for pagans. So
I think I did heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So
for snakes.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I should have worn my snake earrings today, honestly. So yes, like, have I been to like an Erin Express? Yes. Have I not done that in a really long time? Also, yes. I like celebrating the fact of being Irish. I can leave the trying to drive pagans out of anywhere since I am a pagan. So
fair.
So that's where I land on that. But I think it's in general fun to, get dressed up. Anytime there's an opportunity
theme, right?
to get dressed up with a theme, I'm always there. So we've got our green on.
We wore green today. Yes.
And I've got this is actually not even my shirt. Sorry, Jen. Thanks so much. She lent me this eagle shirt a couple weeks back. So yeah. So that's a little bit about us and our heritage. But so I hope you have a good and happy and safe St. Patrick's Day if you celebrate.
I was going to say just one other thing that's on the subject of to begin our segue into TVD is that now, it's not the case in the show. As we've learned, our girl Bonnie Bennett is a descendant of the Salem witches. But in the books, Bonnie is not a person of color. She's a redhead, and she descends from Celtic witches. So, it ties it together a little bit.
And we'll be talking about Bonnie more and her just continuing to be the best friend who exists.
The best friend who exists. And also in today's episode, we're actually going to unpack a little bit more about what is happening with Bonnie, which is really fun and I'm excited about.
Oh, I can't wait to get there. Let's see. Is there anything else that we need to talk about at the top here? One thing that we will love to shout out to everybody is that we do have social media. Currently, right now, just Instagram because we are millennials and don't know quite how to operate the TikTok. So we're going to get there eventually. Please be patient with us. But you can follow us at Hello Sister Podcast on Instagram if you would like. And I think we also, and as we are slowly rolling out our podcast, definitely take time to look at all our fun little posts that we've got going on there. But we just would love to shout out again Alex's work on our incredible logo that they designed for us. It's just, every time I look at it, it makes me so happy.
I know. My honey did a really good job.
He's so talented.
Yeah. I agree. And you'll be seeing more work from Alex, especially as we start getting into merch and all of that fun kind of stuff. I think the last thing we wanted to, in our kind of, intro for the episode today before we dive into the episode proper with our scenes and everything, is talking a little bit about comets and specifically eclipses.
Yes. Yeah. So we thought it would be fun to just talk about, even though I don't think I've ever seen a comet with my naked eye, but we will be talking about comets in our folklore section today.
Because today's episode is called The Night of the Comet.
So we're really excited to kind of learn a little bit. We'll walk everyone through some comet lore, but also just to call out, because even though we haven't seen a comet, but we have seen
an eclipse,
a celestial event, if you will. Christina and I, when was that?
Was that 2024?
2024.
I think it was 2024.
I think it was too. Yeah, so we saw the eclipse, but it was, did we? Who's to say? Because it was kind of cloudy. Wasn't it
it was really cloudy. We went to our favorite cemetery, Laurel Hill, which you will become very familiar with, even if you're not a Philly-based person, because that's where we will be filming a ton of things. But it's this beautiful cemetery, and you're pretty high up.
Yeah.
So we were like, this is a great vantage point. We brought snacks. We were having a picnic.
Oh, yeah. We had the little special glasses that you wear so you don't hurt your eyes.
We looked great. I actually think we should post that photo.
We will be posting that photo.
On the gram. But yeah, I don't know if we like really saw it. We saw part of it, but I don't know if we were there at the moment of the total eclipse, but I don't, because of the clouds, I don't know if we actually
Yeah, I don't know if we
saw it.
kind of saw it.
Yeah.
But either way, so we're here today to celebrate some more celestial events, and we'll get into the episode.
Yes.
I think we're ready to go.
I think we're ready too.
All right, here we go.
All right, let's dive into the second episode of the Vampire Diaries. As we just mentioned, it's called The Night of the Comet. So we are going to talk about comets in more detail as the episode goes on. A little bit of background about this episode before we start diving into it scene by scene. Like the pilot episode, it was directed by Marcos Siega, and also like the pilot, it was written by Kevin Williamson and Julie Plec, who are the showrunners. And it aired on September 17th, 2009, which, I wasn't thinking about this till right now, but March 17th.
Yeah.
Talking about
Whoa.
September 17th. I don't know. It's the same day of the month. I think that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. And before we dive into the opening scene, this is the IMDb synopsis for the episode. We get a little bit more in terms of description than we did with the pilot. So here we go. Elena goes to the Salvatore house to talk to Stefan, but finds Damon there instead, who reveals surprising information about Stefan's past. Vicki begins to remember the attack.
Dun, dun, dun. I am living for these IMDb synopses.
At first, I thought, we could just write the synopses, right? Because we're watching the episode so many times and taking all these notes. And then I was like, no. These are so perfect.
Yeah. Sometimes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. And IMDb... Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing.
All right. So, opening scene, as we have titled it, It's Raining Blood. Okay. So, the show opens. It's another cold open, but we hear the song, which I actually feel is very... When I think of like Vampire Diaries songs, the Help I'm Alive by Metric is definitely one of those that it just is definitely very present in my mind. So, I wanted to call that out. But as that song is playing, we see a couple camping in the woods and some fog rolls in. So we've got a little bit of that fog coming back. They're canoodling, making out, and a woman hears thunder, and her partner assures her it's not going to rain. They're kind of just, hanging out. Wait, also just like camping. Are they They're camping,
They're
right?
camping to try to see the comet.
Okay, that's why. Because I was like, they're just in a very... Okay, well... They're in a very remote place to be watching this comet off the side.
And a deeply wooded place.
Yeah.
I have thought about that.
Okay.
I don't know how well they would be able to... Like, there's no way from their campsite they're seeing the comet.
No. Okay. We'll be... I know. I just let myself ADHD that because in my brain, I'm like, why are they here doing this?
Maybe they are hiking somewhere to get a better vantage point. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it does seem like they are in a really remote, really densely forested area, right? And you're like, you're not seeing anything.
You're not seeing shit
and
from
we also will see that it's a couple days before the comet.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I have questions. But anyway, so they're continuing on. The man goes to get a gift from the car, and as soon as he leaves, the woman hears some dripping on the tent. Sounds a little bit like rain, and she smiles because she is feeling very confident in her explanation of knowing that it was going to rain. And then she ends up going outside of the tent, and there's some blood, and she does find her boyfriend skewered in a tree.
It sucks when that happens.
So she screams, very horror-like, runs to her car. She's trying to open the car, and she can't get it opened. Seems like
she doesn't have her keys.
Doesn't have the key. I don't know if, so they're, but doesn't it, like, beep? Like, the key doesn't.
There's a beeping behind her that unlocks it. So since her boyfriend or partner or canoodler went to the car to get a gift, I assume he has the keys.
That's true. Yeah. So then we do hear that. So, but yeah. And then she is just trying to get into her locked car. And then she turns and something leaps down and grabs her. She screams, and we're into our opening theme title card. So, love that we're kind of keeping like the first episode, keeping in with that the horror trope of just the people camping, people driving, and getting disturbed on the road. But I just overall confused on all fronts about their way that they were planning to see the comet. But I think, I guess that works if you wanted to just go camping. I mean, as a person who does camp, I don't know if you could just, maybe you can. I guess you can really camp anywhere if you really want to try hard enough. But I feel like normally you go to a specific place to do that instead. It really did look like they were just off the side of the road in the woods, which I just don't know if I would be into that.
Yeah, I have questions. I also feel like, well, it's obviously we are observers, right? We're like watching all of this happening. But as soon as she's like, I heard something, is it rain? And her boyfriend's like, no, it's not rain, which I'm like, shut up. Yeah. Listen to her. But if you hear dripping in this universe, it's blood. Yeah. Just, it's blood. Prepare to run and get snatched by what is probably a vampire. Yeah. And that was like a pretty gnarly, just like I love this. That was what it was. It was like, woo, we're down. And I'm like, oh, okay, wow, we're really going for it. But that's our opening scene. That's our opening scene, yeah. So then and this tends to be a trend with the show, then we go into our first real scene, and it's totally different vibes, right? It's usually Elena Gilbert writing in her diary. Yep. And that's exactly what happened. So scene 1, we're calling Sexy Stewardess, Boozy Housewife, which is a nod to a conversation that Elena and Jenna have during this scene. So we start at the Gilbert house, but we're in this opening, or this first real scene of the episode, we're flipping between the Gilbert house and the Salvatore boarding house. So we have this close-up on Elena and Stefan's eyes, right, because it's flipping back and forth. And then when the camera backs out, we see that Elena is in bed. She's writing in her diary about how things are starting to feel different. Things are starting to feel like they're changing. Stefan sits up in bed. Ab count number 2. Thank you very much. If you're giving me that right at the beginning of the episode, it's important. And it makes me want to get up and wake up and do my day and maybe go to high school just for what's under that shirt that he's going to eventually put on, unfortunately. And he then, in his journal, his diary, is talking about how he's feeling awake for the first time in a century. Elena gets out of bed, Stefan gets out of bed. And their dialogue is really, they're mirroring each other with that back and forth. And they both say that the change they're feeling is due to the other person. And there's this cute, because I know I will see him again. Because I know I will see her again. Very, very cute. And Elena says that for the first time in a really long time, she's feeling good. So when she exits her bedroom, she runs into her Aunt Jenna, who... per, what I named this little scene, Sexy Stewardess, Boozy Housewife, she's dressed up and she's trying to figure out how to wear her hair because she has a parent-teacher conference with everyone's most hated teacher, least favorite teacher, Mr. Tanner, for Jeremy. And she wants to look adult and respectfully parental, which I just...
Respectfully
parental. So the two chat about it. Elena tells her how to wear her hair, and Jen ends up saying that like Elena seems really like feisty. She's like, "What's going on with you?" And Elena's like, "I feel good." And then she asks where her brother is, and Jenna says, "Oh, he left early to finish a birdhouse in wood shop." And they look at each other, and she's like, "There's not a wood shop at Mystic Falls High." And Elena goes, "No."
Jenna. Okay. This will be a theme in this episode. But this is like L number 1 for Jenna. Like, come on, for as young as Jenna is, and we don't know how old Jenna is. I don't think that's ever like disclosed, but
she's in her 20s.
She's got to be old enough to like, you're not that much older than these teens. So you should, come on. But yeah, I was like, Jenna, come on, girl.
Right. She gets really easily duped.
Yeah.
So, love her trying.
Yeah, she is trying. And I do appreciate her effort that she is trying to be that parental figure for them. But in that moment, I was
respectfully parental.
Respectfully parental. But all right, and then we move along to our next scene. So this one we have titled, "She Lost a Lot of Blood." And this is taking place in Vicki's hospital room, and Jeremy is standing in the doorway watching her sleep, which is, a choice. And a nurse comes in and tells him that he can't visit till 9 a.m. because that's when visiting hours start. And he asks the nurse if she's okay, and the nurse says she lost a lot of blood and that she needs rest, and she like kind of shoos Jeremy out. And to this I say, this town so far, like
giving addresses,
and we'll see another basically a trespass in just a few short scenes. And I have just so many questions because this nurse I know that she's just saying that Vicki lost a lot of blood, but like this is a HIPAA violation. Like, why are we talking to somebody that is not related to the patient about or like her condition? That to me, it was just making me laugh. For folks that don't know, and I don't think I actually shared this in our like teaser episode, but my day job is I work in human resources, so a lot of like policy and procedure things are usually in my mind at certain points, and so when I looked at this, I was like, well, this is a HIPAA violation. So
yeah, the only thing I will say that's like maybe in defense of it, not in reality, but in TV world, we do often see it's like, well, how is she? And just everyone is telling them, we see that happen no matter what. Oh, yeah. But yeah, it is. I appreciate that the nurse is like, you can't be in here and gets him to leave. But yes, you should absolutely not be telling anyone about anyone's health things, right? Unless their family or like you've signed saying, and she certainly has not given. Jeremy is not her emergency contact.
I was just going to say, I don't think Jeremy is her emergency contact.
No, and that will become even more apparent as we go deeper into this episode. I'm so sorry, Jeremy. I'm so sorry.
Jeremy. Okay, so we're moving right along, and in our next scene that we have dubbed, Are We Bothering You, Mr. Salvatore, Miss Gilbert? And this location is in Mr. Tanner's class.
The only class.
the only class at Mystic Falls High. But Mr. Tanner's talking about the Comet and how it hasn't been to Mystic Falls in over 145 years. And Stefan and Elena are very overtly making googly eyes at each other, like really honestly, like so down bad.
So distractingly.
And to the point where, like, even though I do not like Mr. Tanner, he sucks, I'm like, they are really actually being a little distracting.
No, honestly, as a teacher, I maybe would say something similar if my students were, like, at each other, just all class, like, stop.
Well, and
I'd rather you text each other than stare at each other.
Yeah, because it just is like weird. Because we're all like, I mean, we as if I'm also in the class, but like it's like we are in the class. We are all watching.
We're enrolled in Mystic Falls High.
But that was actually one of my other questions. But yes, so because you have like a unique perspective by one, not only being an educator yourself, but two, also like I said, I went to an all-girls school, and at the time where I was at an all-girls school, if folks were crushing on other girls, that was probably not really something that was being openly broadcast. So, like, not a lot of flirting was happening in the open.
Yes.
But I just had a question to you for going to a co-ed school. Like, was that a thing? Like, did people do that in class? Like,
of course. Yeah, I mean, I definitely got in trouble for talking in general in class.
Yeah.
I'm very type A and like would sit up front and was a very good student, but I also, had to gab with people. I don't know if I ever specifically got called out for like making googly eyes at someone, but I did once in my, I want to say, freshman year English class, maybe sophomore year, whatever year Justin Timberlake's solo album came out with Sexy Back in it.
Oh my God.
Because that was my ringtone on my flip phone.
Oh.
Like, this is so embarrassing. And it went off in the middle of class. Like, I was texting and it literally was like, I'm bringing sexy back. In the middle of like talking about the Odyssey. And yeah, my teacher definitely really in Mr. Tanner style embarrassed me. As like they probably should
honestly,
have.
To be fair, yeah. Like
I'm still ashamed about it, but not so ashamed about it that I won't tell the entire world about it.
Hey, you know what? That's so funny.
It is 20 years later, I think.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I think you're all right. And you know what? And that's like, as we have, I mean, you are an educator. We have a lot of friends who are educators, and we do have some friends who teach in high school as like specifically. Yeah. So, I feel this is just very silly. So I love that.
Also, like I didn't get a cell phone until I was in high school, so being able to like download a song as like a hit song as my ringtone felt really cool. Having people to text felt really cool. So,
Okay.
Can they fault me when phones were new and in a way they are not now? But yes, this kind of thing absolutely happened.
That's really fun. I love that. Yeah, I'm imagine it. I have a very good picture of it all in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're moving on to our next scene, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah. The two of them are just really in that scene. The whole scene is just basically them staring at each other.
Yeah. I don't know if there's much more else to cover in that.
My anecdote was longer than that scene. So the next scene we're calling Old Books, Really Cool Salem Witch Chicks, and Continuing Feuds. So we are still at Mystic Falls High, but we are in the hallway. Steph and Elena, after staring at each other all of history class, are walking together. And Stefan gives her a really old copy of Wuthering Heights. So old, in fact, that it is using her pseudonym, Alice Bell. And I have a lot of thoughts about this because, first off, what 17-year-old girl in 2009, it's different now, right? Like, in that there's, like, the movie came out and everything that I could see teenagers or college age or, people our age who are reading it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Reinvested in it. And like, certainly it's a book. I was never assigned it in English class, which was really interesting because I was in AP English and, everything. But it would make sense that like someone could be assigned it in high school. But that this 17-year-old girl loves the book so much. Elena makes a comment about how like she's been like really meaning to reread it, and they had clearly had a long discussion about it because Stefan pulled it out. So I have a lot of thoughts about that. But then also Stefan's like, keep it. I have a lot of books. Whoa. Okay. I am a bookstore owner. I am a book collector. I would never give something that priceless to this girl you've known for like a week.
No.
Especially based off of some of her behavior we're going to see later in this episode.
Yeah.
You don't know her. You guys haven't even exchanged phone numbers yet.
That is wild to me. And also, wait, does he say what like edition that is? Or does he? I don't think he like says it, but it's gotta be.
It's definitely really old.
Yeah.
And his response is like, take it. I have plenty of other books. I'm like, Stefan, like I both like swoon over the fact that you are collecting these books and have an interest in them. And then I'm also like, protect your book collection.
Yeah.
Your rare book collection. Or like, if you don't want them, sell them and make money. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think there's ways to do it. And so they end up agreeing that she'll just borrow it.
Yeah. And are you a person who will lend books out to people, or are you stingy about it? I'm
pretty stingy.
Yeah.
Mostly because I've lent out some of my favorite books and never gotten them back.
Yeah.
I have made up for that by like some of my favorite books I literally own 3 or 4 versions of. So it's like, well, you know.
Yeah.
But put it this way. I would let you borrow a book.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Because I know that you respect books in the way that I do. And also I see you all the time.
You also know where I live. So if
I would just show up and take my book back.
Yes.
You know, it's the like, let your friend borrow it during like summer break from college and they live in a different state like 9 months of the year. And then you guys stop talking because you grow up and like whatever and grow apart. And then where's my book?
You never seen that book again.
Where's my book? So what about you? Do you lend them?
I try. It depends. I think it depends on the book. For me, if it's definitely something that I really treasure, I probably will be a little less inclined to lend it out. I have some like Buffy comics that I really love and adore, even though they are bonkers. But I don't think I just probably wouldn't like really lend those out willy-nilly. And a couple other, Dwight for my birthday last year got me one of the folio societies of Circe.
Yeah, you're
not lending that out. That's not going nowhere. But I do have another copy of it though, so I can lend it out.
Yeah. I mean, in a case like that, I might give the like less great copy. But also I own a bookstore and we have a used section, so I feel like I would just let someone borrow a used book if I know them, you know, or sell them a $5 used book. Did we want to talk about, just before we continue on the scene, this kind of weird connection that exists with Wuthering Heights? Not only with it, I mean, we're in a year where the film just came out, right? But also it's mentioned, and as a little like piece of trivia, it's something that we found out is also mentioned in Twilight.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that?
Yeah. So, well, I will, spoilers for us is that neither of us have not read it. Which there was a moment in time where I was maybe going to convince myself to try to like bang it out and like just crush the book real quick so that we could have a little bit more of a knowledgeable, like somebody read it talk. But I didn't have. We're very busy people. We did not have time for that. So
when you were saying that to me, I was like, "Girl,"
I was like in the middle.
When do you have time for that?
But so that did not happen. But we did look into it a little bit of like the synopses, and it sounds like there are some themes of kind of like inherent like wildness that feels very akin to vampires.
There's definitely a lot of yearning,
and and like there are also like supernatural-esque elements that are also there. So I wonder if and it is a love story.
There's a love triangle.
There's
looking at things like damnation.
Yeah. And just kind of, just like tapping into from what I understand, and for folks that have read the book, and actually also, spoiler alert, we're recording this before the film has come out, so we have not also seen that yet, but we will. Well, by the time this comes out, we will have seen the movie.
We sure will have, yes.
But yeah, so I think I think that the writers, Julie and Kevin, because I'm on a first name basis with them.
Shout out to Julie and Kevin.
I think they were probably pulling from that a little bit, and and I would imagine that if that's also the case in Twilight, similar, like just this. do we think, again, haven't read the book, but it seems like there's maybe like a little bit of a forbidden love or
absolutely
stuff
forbidden love.
Yeah. So, and I think obviously anytime there's a story with like a vampire and a human, there is this sort of forbidden aspect, that yearning aspect, because we all know, I mean, even though we kind of don't think about it most of the time, like when we're in these stories, but, you know, a human is a human and a vampire is a vampire. One of them is going to live forever unless they get staked or, you know, killed in some other way.
Off, or have to count seeds for the rest of their life.
Have to count seeds for forever. Or, you know, the human will continue to age unless they become a vampire themselves. So
it's a pretty big gulf that they have to cross to be together.
So there's that. So I wonder if that's probably, I mean, I would imagine that that's where the connective tissue is.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So continuing at Mystic Falls High in this scene in a different hallway, we move to Bonnie and Caroline, who are also walking together. And Caroline has this line, which we're going to talk about more. We're going to unpack it more when we get to the folklore section. But she says to Bonnie, "I'm confused. Are you psychic or clairvoyant?" Right? And Bonnie goes on to say, you know, like, well, my gram says that I'm a witch. And I love just this part where she says, my ancestors were these really cool Salem witch chicks or something. Like, yes. Thank you, Bonnie. But then, as we also have seen as a trope so far, just in the 2 episodes that we've talked about, she blames it on her grams being drunk.
This is some crazy stuff, and I mean,
they're being really pointing some fingers with alcohol, and also just blaming everything on alcohol. And
they were also drunk in the woods like a week ago. So I don't really know what this is all about, because I'm like, is she, and this was my question to you, I'm like, do we think, because we have not met Grams, do we think she's an alcoholic or just maybe an eccentric witchy woman? That I feel like it's the latter.
Yeah, I feel like it's the latter. So they're going back and forth, and then Caroline asks Bonnie if she can conjure up the name and phone number of the guy she saw at the coffee shop last night, which is Damon, we know, and that's what happened at the end of the pilot episode. So this also tells us that that was just yesterday. Like, the party at the falls was just last night. And then Bonnie's like, why didn't you ask him out? And Caroline's, well, because I was drunk. Of course. So then we see, in a different part of Mystic Falls High, we see Jeremy walk out of the school. He has his determined face on, and he goes over to Tyler, who's talking to 2 girls by the baseball field. He starts to taunt Tyler, trying to ask how Vicki is, because he knows that Tyler hasn't been visiting her, and obviously he went to the hospital and was watching her sleep. Not creepy at all. You know, they go back and forth. Tyler threatens to kick Jeremy's ass. Jeremy basically tells him to do it and even shoves Tyler. And I do have to give kudos to Tyler in this moment, because he doesn't just punch Jeremy in the face. And Jeremy's really baiting him and is really trying to get him to do it. And this is like the only moment we've seen any kind of restraint from Tyler so far. So like, I don't love him at all. I don't even like him at this point. Yeah. But I do think it's something worth saying. Jeremy also calls him a dick. And
these 2, honestly.
But he threatens Tyler. He says, if you hurt Vicki one more time, like, I swear to God, I'll kill you. So again, Tyler doesn't punch him. Tyler turns to the girls after Jeremy leaves and, you know, makes a joke. They're like, he was crazy. Like, you heard that. He threatened to kill me. So then, in a different part,
we're really cruising around.
There are a ton of hallways. There are a lot of different outside areas. I'm kind of surprised we weren't back at the dumpsters. Like, wow. So now we're with Matt and Elena, who are walking outside by the school buses, who even after the events, I know Vicki was just attacked, but like, for Elena and Matt in this moment to be just like very casual, kind of like chatting, is confusing to me. Yeah. But they're talking about Vicki, and we learn that she should be able to go home from the hospital tomorrow. And Elena asks if he called his mom, and he says he called and left her a message. She's in Virginia Beach with her boyfriend. And so this is the first kind of full nod that their mom isn't maybe the most involved parent, but we'll learn more about her eventually. As they're talking, the camera shows us that Stefan is sitting nearby and he is using his vampire hearing to listen in on them. And Matt tells Elena that when he asked Vicki what attacked her, she said vampire. Well, that she woke up and said vampire. And so, Stefan's eyes go wide, right? He's listening to this. But Matt then says, I think Vicki was still drunk. And then, Matt sees Stefan, who is very cool guy, hot back, sitting not at a bench, but on like a table that's attached to two benches, and is reading a book. He's clearly not reading a book. He's listening to them, but he looks super cool and like he's not paying attention. And so Matt's like, how's it going with him? And Elena just says, like, I don't want to hurt you, Matt. And he changes the subject by saying, you know what, I'm going to go back to the hospital, talk to Vicki, and try to get a straight answer from her about what actually attacked her. And then he walks away, and Elena turns to where Stefan was, and he's gone. Intense music plays.
Man, and then we are still at high school, but I assume later on in the day, because this next scene is parent-teacher conference from hell. And the location is Mr. Tanner's classroom, and we are at Jeremy's parent-teacher conference. And we find out that Jeremy somehow managed to skip 6 classes only 3 days into the school year, which is some pretty wild stuff. And it's actually really funny that Jeremy has... Or not, like, it's not only is he the history teacher, I guess, but he's also...
I'm guessing, I was like, is he his homeroom teacher? Because how many times a day does history class meet?
Yeah.
Or is he also the English teacher and the gym teacher and the... in the books, he's like, and we'll see later in the show, like, is a coach.
Yeah.
But, like, is he also a gym teacher? Like, what is it? And are there other teachers?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you ever skip class?
No. Like you, I also was definitely, if I wasn't in like the front row, I was definitely near the front.
Yeah.
Trying to learn, because I was not a big out of school study person, so I tried to just be present for class because I had very bad like study habits, but would cram at the last minute.
Yeah.
So I would just be like, okay, well, if I'm going to learn this material, I will be learning it right here in this class. Didn't goof off a ton. I mean, I'm sure I got in trouble for chatting because obviously, but
Chatty
Kathy, as I feel like somebody definitely called me once in like middle school. So yeah.
Yeah. I never skipped class either.
Yeah, I don't even know how I would be able to. Like, it was hard. It wouldn't have flown at my school because there weren't that many people,
Yeah. I never did it. I mean, I definitely like skipped classes in college.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. In college,
that's a little bit different. But I did, like, anytime I wasn't in class, it was either because I was sick or I, like, in high school, my senior year, I had a job and I did this program that was available to like seniors. I think you probably had to have a specific GPA or above, but that you could do like a work program.
Oh, cool.
Where I, like, some days of the week I got to leave early for work. I had to prove I had a job, etc.
Right.
So like most of my senior year, I was done like earlier in the day and I didn't work every day at my job. So, but like, I did it. I worked the system,
right?
Basically, and I would go home and I'd do my homework. Honestly, if I didn't have school or if I didn't have work, so
yeah. So, but Jeremy,
we're too good.
We weren't. Yeah, we were definitely those people, and like I act like I did do my homework. I just would do it in the morning before classes would start for the day. You know what I mean? Always last minute. It's shocking that it took this long for I have ADHD and I was diagnosed literally like a year ago, and it is still baffling to me that it took that long for somebody to notice. Anyway, Okay. Where what else we've got? Oh yeah. So back to the parent teacher conference from hell. So we have Mr. Tanner just like patronizing Jenna in all of these crazy ways, like calling her their mother's kids, like Elena and Jeremy's mother's kid's sister, and just some really negative back and forth between the two of them, and Mr. Tanner asking if there's anybody else in the picture that could maybe, step in, because it's really important for kids to have like a strong parental figure, essentially. And that's just, really inappropriate again for Mr. Tanner, because like she's also still reeling again. Like, she's still also reeling from the death of her sister. Like, let's talk about that. Like, this is her sister. I mean, she's also still, I'm sure, like, still dealing with that.
It's only been 4 months.
And the kids are also, like, they're just trying to get their shit together. And, like, I know that I'm going to be kind of, like, being cheekily making fun of Jenna a little bit here and there, just because, like, I do love Jenna.
Love her, but she's a mess.
But I love her, but yeah, like she's a little ditzy in a way, but she's also still trying to figure it out.
She has such a good heart.
Yeah, and she's a good person, and she obviously cares about the kids. So
and like, how does Mr. like I know Mr. Tanner obviously works with high schoolers.
Yeah, but like, does he have kids?
It's right. Is he a dad? Because the way he's talking to her of like that this is an impossible job, and if any other answer isn't acceptable, and all of this stuff. He's also, I feel like, so shitty when she's like, that their parents died, and he's like, yes, they he gave a car accident
the full
4 months
rundown
ago, if I remember correctly. Great loss. And when he says great loss, you like, I think he actually means it. Like, it's a loss for the community because the town's so small, but it seems like he's just being a dick.
Yeah. And honestly, I would wager, because this is just the way that Mr. Tanner reads to me, I would wager he does not have children, but he would love to mansplain to you how to have children, because that's the vibe that I get from Mr. Tanner.
He's terrible.
So anyway, Jenna's just obviously not happy about the way that interaction goes, and I couldn't agree with her more, because Mr. Tanner sucks.
And a parent-teacher conference would not
go
like that.
Absolutely not. It's never. It's
and if
more,
it did, that's problematic.
Exactly. Another thing against Mr. Tanner in terms of how he handles not only the students, but also the parents of the students.
Yeah, he sucks. So we finally leave the high school in this next scene, which is a treat. And now we go back to the hospital, and we are calling this scene Hospital Hide and Seek. So we see in the distance that Stefan is walking down the hall, presumably towards Vicki's room. And then Matt is approaching Vicki's room from a different place, and when Stefan sees him, he ducks into an empty hospital room. Matt goes into Vicki's room, and her bed is empty. So when he turns to look for her, she's behind him, as tends to happen in the show. If you turn around, someone will either pop up behind you, or when you turn back, in front of you. Her eyes are really glazed. She looks kind of spooky. And he's saying her name, and he goes to touch her, and she starts screaming and thrashing and totally freaking out. So he runs out to find a nurse. Then we see Stefan pop out of the room he was hiding in, and he super speeds into the hospital room. So we get to see some vamp speed happening. And then this is the first time we get to see compulsion. So he is saying to her that it was an animal that attacked her. It came out and jumped on her and was like, "You blacked out. It's all you remember." And she repeats that, "I blacked out. It's all I remember." And then Stefan whooshes away. It takes Matt apparently a long time to get to the nurse's station. When he gets there, he's like, "My sister needs help." And so the nurse runs after him. And when they get to Vicki's room, she's sound asleep. So the nurse is like, "Seems fine to me." And then Matt looks over his shoulder and sees someone walking down the hall, and he decides to pursue. And then we get to this weird part of the hospital where it's there's one hall that's really well lit. And then there's one hall that's basically lights off, like we're in a horror movie. Like, what is this hospital, right? It's also like the middle of the day. Yeah. Like, what is happening? So in a well-lit section of the hall, we see Stefan looking back over his shoulder at Matt, who's standing in the basically like pitch black area. Matt's just like following him. So Stefan walks into a room and oh no, it's a blood bank. So everyone in there is giving blood. There's blood bags. Like we're getting close-ups of all of that. We see Stefan's eyes go all red and veiny. But like you can see he's really kind of trying to like stay in control. But he walks past the people giving blood and goes behind a curtain. Matt comes into the room. He goes over to that curtain, pulls it back. No one's there. And then for whatever reason, he then looks out the window and sees no one outside. I just think this is so weird. Like, what is he expecting to find? And we'll talk about it more as we go deeper into the episode, because this hide and seek, this like his suspicions of Stefan continue. And it's just, I think, a really strange storyline.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? It's kind of interesting to me that Matt does seem to have his like his like spidey senses are tingling over Stefan, which rightfully so, right? So it's very interesting that he has this sort of like hypervigilance. I'm gonna guess it's probably because of his involvement with Elena, right? Because he's still obviously in love with her, and I think so he's really just clocking all the moves that Stefan's making. And I think there's just it's interesting. We're gonna have to keep an eye on that and just how he kind of is observing everybody in this world, because it is actually, I think, an interesting thing we can like kind of keep tabs on.
You come into her room, she's out of bed, she's being spooky, she freaks out. You go to the nurse's station and you just see someone walking in the hall, not directly coming from her room or anything, and you're like, I'm gonna leave my sister, who I was so worried about, to pursue this.
Yeah.
That to me, just I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think that's the intention.
Yeah.
But we have to do some work to get there.
Yeah.
But we will talk about it more.
Well, we're moving right along to our next scene. You're supposed to share smut with friends.
Yeah, you are.
And we are outside of the Mystic Grill, and we are getting to see a little bit more of downtown Mystic Falls. I'm guessing this is now like the actual like set in Georgia. So now that, because we are out of the pilot, we're now kind of starting to see the traditional spots, and specifically like the grill is obviously a place where they go to a decent amount throughout the show. So it's nice to see them outside too, like enjoying a little, I guess, after school snack. Like I don't know.
I don't know what these kids do.
I know, it's like, so they're sitting. So Bonnie is sitting with Caroline and Elena, and she's telling them about the comet and about how the comet is a sign of impending doom. And the last time it passed over Mystic Falls, there was a lot of death, and there was so much blood and carnage. It created a bed of paranormal peril, and also paranormal activity.
There you go.
So again, like I said, we're gonna be, or like we said at the top, we will be talking about comets more later. But I do want to call out, because I did some time math on this, and I might bring it up again later, but to say it here because we're talking about it. But the comet, Mr. Tanner does say this in the earlier scene, but the last time this comet came was 145 years ago. And from 2009, 145 years ago is 1864, which was the same timestamp on the picture of Catherine Pierce. Mm-hmm. So just some things to keep in mind. I don't know. I'm now wondering, I don't want to like spoil like anything. So, but I think we just want to put a pin in that is all I'll say. Yeah. So then we're kind of, the girls are gabbing, and Caroline makes a little retort about Grams is drinking again. I'm like, what is this? And but then they shift the conversation to Elena and Stefan chatting all night, and because, and I did missay this earlier, but yeah, I guess so. We literally, this is the next day.
It
like
is
after
the next day.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not. I mean, for us and the viewers, it's a week in between the episodes, but for them in world, it's only a day.
Yes.
And so they're like, Caroline is just really kind of grilling Elena and asking about if there was any. Why there was no sloppy first kiss or hanky panky, and not even a handshake, which is another really good one.
I love it.
And like like Caroline continues on about telling Elena, encouraging Elena, like, you're supposed to share smut with your friends, and to which we agree. We
absolutely share the smut.
Pro sharing smut with your friends.
Yes. Please
do that. And so. Again, just continuing on, she's trying to, get Elena amped up, which I actually do appreciate, especially after episode 1 of her obviously like really initially hitting on Stefan as much as she did, but now she's kind of shifted her
in the last 12 hours, she's really like matured and realized that it's not going to happen with Stefan.
Yeah.
So.
And she also had a really hot man staring at her from across the coffee shop,
which we'll talk about.
The night prior. So
yeah.
And yeah, she's just very sex positive, Caroline. So we love that for her.
We do love that.
And one other thing. Oh, so then Elena kind of amped up from the conversation. She gets her, she's like, all right, yeah, you're right. And then she goes to like march off to like go talk to Stefan and maybe make something happen.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to call out here, just because it was wild to me, is Caroline has an impeccable updo for school.
Oh my God, it looks so good. I literally was watching it and I was like, how do I do that to my hair?
I'm like, her hair is like very well, like Bonnie and Elena have like just more like normal, like every day, like going to school hair. And Caroline is just, she's got it curled. She's got a little updo. And to which I say, who did that? Do you think like Caroline did that herself, or do we think she got assistance?
I have no idea. I don't know enough about her yet.
Yeah,
she looks great.
She was serving though. She really was.
She was serving.
And that's good, because later on she wasn't. So we'll go into
oh my God, we will talk about that later.
That.
So then our next scene, nachos with extra cheese are great munchies. True. We're at the Gilbert house. Jenna tries to get Jeremy to talk to her. He literally just continues walking to the door. She gets him to stop, gets him to come talk to her. And she's trying to relate to him. And it's like, when I was your age, like I smoked pot too. And says, it was great because I felt like I could escape. And then, it never lasts, which is her like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like this isn't going to actually fix what's going on. But Jeremy, sensing that a lecture is coming on, just literally when Jenna's like talking to herself, going to the fridge, he just walks out. So yeah, lots of losses for Jenna.
Another L. I forgot to count the Mr. Tanner parent teacher conference, but just there was woodshop, parent teacher conference, and now this. So she's taken 3 L's so far in this episode. Poor Jenna.
Poor Jenna. So then we go back to the hospital. We're in Vicki's hospital room again, and we're calling this scene No Mr. Concerned Here, which is a nod to Tyler. So Matt is sleeping in a chair by Vicki's bed. She's looking very uninspired by her hospital food on a platter in front of her. She gets this kind of mischievous look on her face and throws a gelatin container at Matt to get him to wake up. So he wakes up and he says that she looks a lot better. He was worried earlier when she was screaming. She does not remember this. So that kind of like freaks him out. He tells her then that she can go home tomorrow. And he's like, hey, Vic, what attacked you in the woods? And she says it was an animal. So we'll see.
Repeating what Stefan had
the compulsion
compelled her to do.
So then Jeremy walks in and asks how Vicki is. Matt is definitely uncomfortable. And so he leaves to get coffee. Vicki asks Jeremy why he's there. And she's like, Matt looks suspicious. No one can find out about us. And also that Tyler's finally starting to show some interest. Girl, he tried to sexually assault you in the woods last night. I don't think that's the kind of interest anyone wants.
No.
And, you know, she's like, it's not cool for people to know. I'm older than you. Matt and Elena would freak. And I do have a question about how old is Vicki? We know that Elena is 17, so we can assume that Matt is 17 as well. And we were talking about this, I believe, last week, of how old Jeremy is, which we're thinking like 15. So I'm guessing she's 16, you know?
Yeah.
So if they're juniors, she's a sophomore, he's a freshman?
Probably.
I don't.
I would probably. And I mean, and I feel like back then, I feel like that was a real thing. Like, for some reason, I don't know why, but people were weird about like dating people. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like,
the year can feel, even 1 year in school can feel like a big thing.
Yeah.
And an older woman versus a younger man is definitely, I think, I don't know about now, but like
definitely
when we were,
feels different
I remember
now,
in middle school, I had a boyfriend who was a year younger than I was. And it was definitely, some people thought it was weird.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not.
We met doing theta.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that. What show were you in?
I think that was when we did Sleepy Hollow.
What? Your school was doing Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, I still have the shirt.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, I feel like it was a big thing. And I mean, I feel like you and I know that, well, now I know that you had dated somebody younger. And I don't think I've, well, you're supposed to be sharing smut with no, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
And
we're not
this
going
is where we go into the R and not rated.
No, just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think like I feel like I always was like a couple years older than me kind of person.
Typically,
I was typically that kind of gal, but I had been known to look at the younger folks a little bit, but not always, but because it was a thing. There was like a taboo thing about it. But
yeah.
And then once you were in college, no one cared. And
no
then
one cared.
It didn't matter. So
yeah, I did date. Well, I don't know if date feels like a strong word, but there was someone in college who was. I think I was a sophomore and he was a freshman.
Okay, yeah. I mean, hey, you know what? And now there's a bunch of media that's come out in the last few years that is all here for the big older woman, younger man, and
right? Why can't there be an age gap?
Here for it.
Just saying. And yeah, so to kind of go back to where we were, you know, Vicki, it's talking about that age gap, but also like, I don't want Matt to notice it. It's like,
already noticed.
Matty Blue Eyes, like, he wouldn't have like gotten up and gone and gotten coffee, like. He's reading something, right?
Again, I think we need to give Matt a little bit more credit here because I think he is picking up what everyone's putting down. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Jeremy just keeps trying to shoot his shot, even though this girl that he likes is literally saying to him, like, you know, this other guy is showing interest in me, and you're like, oh, Jeremy, come on. Any single person deserves better treatment than that. But he's like, no one's going to suspect anything. And then he's like, it's not weird for me to visit because I'm the one who found you. And then we see Vicki kind of like, you know, like, what?
Well.
Okay. So she seems to soften when she finds out that he's the one who found her. She thanks him. They smile at each other.
I'm so glad that I get to cover this next scene. For just a peek behind the curtain, obviously Christina and I, we kind of go back and forth just to give each other times to, you know, recover between scenes for chatting. And I'm so glad I got this one. All right, here we go. So
we got like we each lucked out getting scenes we really wanted today. It's great.
So our next scene, the closest you'll ever get to humanity is when you rip it open and feed on it. All right, we're at the Salvatore boarding house, the real Salvatore boarding house. And
it's so beautiful.
Let's go. So Elena, she rolls up to the Salvatore house and she just walks right in, which again is...
She rings the bell, but then she does just walk in.
She does ring the bell, but I guess the door is a little ajar, and so she just sees herself in just crazy stuff from the people in Mystic Falls with their comfortability with just being very open in general. So she walks into the house. She's calling for Stefan, and she, of course, is very deeply impressed by this home. I would love to live in a home like this.
Move me in. Where's my bedroom?
Like, it's just a stunning, stunning place, and it's going to continue to be a location moving forward in the series.
A central location for sure for the show.
And it's just so welcome to the Salvatore house. We love it. And so as she's kind of walking in and trying to find Stefan, she nothing happens. She turns towards the door, and a crow flies in. Another crow. We had a fog at the top, and we had crow here.
Love a crow.
And then when she turns around, she is face to face with Damon.
Could he stand any closer to her?
He is so close, and oh man, they are just right there. They're really close. They could almost kiss if they really wanted to, but they're not going to, obviously. So, there's a dramatic swell in the music with this because it's a more horrific dramatic swell because it is a more tension type of sound cue because it is weird and Damon checks her out, which to be fair, Nina Dobrev,
she's
of
a
course.
babe and she looks just like Catherine.
Yeah, so hey. And so Elena apologizes for barging in, and she says the door was open, but then when she looks, the door's closed. That's interesting to me. I have questions about that with vampire stuff, but hey, we'll kind of unpack that later. And then Damon introduces himself as Stefan's brother, and Elena says that Stefan didn't tell her he had a brother. But he did allude to this because he said none that he talks to in episode 1. So Damon invites her into the living room, and he's just, just kind of being Damon, being like, I can see why my brother's so smitten. And it's about time. For a while there, I never thought he'd get over the last one. Nearly destroyed him. So here we have Damon stirring a little pot, bringing up Catherine, mentioning that she is Stefan's ex, and they, it's revealed that Elena and Stefan, in that long conversation that they had, that exes had not come up yet, and then Damon's kind of like, oops, but he's not sorry at all. You know it.
He did it on purpose.
He definitely.
It's obvious.
Just being manipulative, and so he kind of says, well, I'm sure it'll come up now. And he's like, or maybe he didn't want to tell you because he didn't want you to think he's on the rebound. And he says, we all know how those relationships end. So Damon, the worst in this moment. And she, was talking about Damon, saying, well, it sounds like you think all relationships are doomed to end. And he says he's a fatalist. And Stefan eventually, Damon, while still maintaining very intense eye contact with Elena, does, I'm sure, hear Stefan come. So he says hello to Stefan, and Stefan is very obviously upset and put off by the fact that Damon is around, and he's even cold to Elena and kind of signaling for her to get out of Dodge.
Oh, yeah, he's not subtle. He's like, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Leave now, basically.
Yeah, and so Elena just kind of, she takes the hint. She says she should go, and then she says it's nice to meet Damon, and Damon kisses her hand in a very kind of cringy way for 2009.
It's cringy for now.
And cringy for now too. Because
I don't cringy in 2009.
Yeah, I just don't think we're just casually kissing people on the hand these days today or in 2009. We're not doing that. That's 1800 stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
And so then Damon leaves, Elena leaves, and then the brothers are there together, and Damon and Stefan, Damon's kind of jabbing at Stefan a little bit about looking pooped, and then they're just talking about, he says he went to the hospital, and Stefan does kind of come at Damon saying that he's trying to clean up the mess that Damon made,
Yes.
trying to, with him compelling Vicki to say it was an animal attack and not a vampire. But then they're just, again, going back and forth. And he does say that, trying to do those things when you're not feeding properly can cause some issues. And again, they're just kind of just being tense back and forth. And then Damon says to Stefan, kind of swiveling back to Elena, being like, "Were you worried, Stefan? Scared we may become doomed to repeat the past? Isn't that why you play your little game? I'm a high school human." And so clearly there's beef here, and presumably with Catherine. And we obviously, still episode 2, we don't know much more than that. But then Damon does say, which is the title of this, but we both know the closest you'll get to humanity is when you rip it open and feed on it. And Stefan's just trying to figure out what game Damon's playing, and Damon's just not giving in to...
He won't bite.
No, he
wink,
won't.
Wink.
Yeah, he won't bite on that. So just a lot of tension between these brothers here.
Yes, definitely. So then we go to the Gilbert's kitchen. We're calling the scene Raging Family Issues. And Elena's telling Jenna about, this kind of weird encounter at the Salvatore house, that she met Damon, that Stefan was really cold, that he's on the rebound, he has all these family issues. And my big issue with this is, like, why do you immediately believe this person that you just met and was, like, very, like, had no personal boundaries, is just telling you all this information, and like, versus this person you've known for a couple of days who you stayed up all night talking to. I'm like, why wouldn't you trust that? And it's only been a couple of months since she and Matt broke up.
Yeah.
And obviously she's not been out of shape over it, but he is, and he's still trying to get back together with her. So I just feel like she shouldn't be judging until, and I know she's a teenage girl.
Yeah.
But I don't think she should be judging until she gets some more information, like talk to Stefan. And it's also, like, so obvious that his, like, yes, he could be warmer to her in the previous scene, but it's so obvious to me, like, he's not even looking at her. Like, he's staring daggers at Damon.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm like, read the room.
Yeah.
Read the room, right? So then during this, Jeremy comes in and heads right upstairs, ignoring Jenna. He refuses to tell her where he's been and makes some side comments to her. So she throws an apple at him. She threatens to ground him if he keeps ditching classes, and he says parental authority. I like it. He also gives her a thumbs up and says sleep tight, and it kills me.
Yeah.
It is like, I think he actually gives her 2 thumbs up in that scene, and I'm just like, I'm dead. He walks away, and she stands at the bottom of the stairs like, what just happened? Another big loss, a big L for Jenna. And Stephen R. McQueen does do an awesome job. Like, my high school boyfriend was a drug dealer. He was always high, always smoking weed. And so I was like, he has, like, the eyes and the mannerisms and everything down. Very,
just
very good.
Really good, like, under the influence work from Stephen R. McQueen right there.
Yes.
And one other thing with this scene is, like, when Jenna is talking about, like trying to relate to Elena about all the other people that, be like, oh, well, with the raging family issues, or like mommy issues, or drug issues, or all these other things. And then just, it feels like Jenna maybe has dated, like, those different kinds of people. It feels like, just in the way that she's describing it. And I'm like, Jenna, girl, oh my God, I just want to give you a hug.
Yeah.
All right. So in our next scene, You're an Animal Too. We are back in the hospital room. Hot spot for this episode.
Hot spot.
And I'm an Animal by Nico Case is playing, which does feel very cheekily on brand for what's going on. And Vicky's having nightmares. She wakes up, Matt's asleep in his chair, and this hospital room is just ginormous. And she looks around, gets out of bed, and goes into the bathroom. And she has perfectly curled hair because, I mean, I guess her hair is maybe still curled from the night before, or she just redid it. Did you think that?
She was literally like mauled by a vampire in the woods after someone pushed her against a tree and tried to assault her.
So then,
how is her hair not full of like sticks?
Do you think that Caroline came to curl her hair?
Yes, I think that's exactly what happened.
In my headcanon, Caroline said, "Girl, I got you," and she and Tyler went over there and curled her hair. Except for Tyler definitely wasn't there. She asked Tyler if he wanted to go visit, and he said no because he sucks. And then Caroline went over and curled her hair. This is my headcanon.
I love this.
But so she is, walking around. She goes into the bathroom. She's looking at her reflection in the mirror, and she's washing her hands in the sink without soap.
I have no idea what's happening.
Just, in a post-COVID world, just really scary stuff to not be washing your hands without soap.
Well, she also doesn't need to wash her hands. Like it seems, I initially think she's going to splash her face with water, but she doesn't do that. And
she's just washing her hands from, I don't know, maybe sweaty palms. But yeah, so when she looks up, she sees Damon standing behind her, eyes dark, and she gasps and turns around, and then she turns the faucet off and goes to wake up Matt, and then she sees Damon sit up all full decked out, vampire eyes and fangs out, and screams. And then she sits up in bed and she's alone in her room. It was all a nightmare. Very spooky stuff. We do get a really good look at the vamp face here, which is kind of we still haven't seen it really full on, but I feel like this might have been the first full on vamp face.
It's a good moment for that. For
shout out. I actually do really like their Vampire Diaries version of the vamp face.
I do too. I think it's better than Sparkles.
It's definitely better than Sparkles,
or the weird contacts they make everyone wear in Twilight.
Yeah, and it's also obviously in Buffy, they're more grotesque type of vampires.
They look amazing.
They're amazing, but it's they have the scrunchy face and the fangs and everything. But this is more kind of they have I don't know. There's just something about those veiny eyes. I'm I'm into it. It looks good.
I never thought of this before, but the vampires in the Buffy universe almost remind me of a dog. What's the dog that's really wrinkly face?
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about, and there are bulldogs and stuff that have, but I don't know. It's not that I know.
We'll figure it out. But
if you tell us.
Had this thought, and I'm oh my god,
it is. They definitely
Mastiff.
No,
I think it is a Mastiff.
Yes.
I have so many revelations recording this, realizing that my type with vampires all has the same hairstyle. So,
and it's not going to stop. We're going to keep learning things about ourselves along the way.
Exactly. So this next scene, we're in the Mystic Falls Town Square, and we're calling this scene, the texting part is an important milestone in any relationship. We see a banner that says the Night of the Comet. Very original naming, People are there chatting. There's face painting. There's a kid hula hooping. Caroline's talking to some people we don't know. And then we see Elena and Bonnie enter the square. Bonnie is asking if people want programs. And this is a moment to just talk about Elena's outfit. She is wearing heeled boots again, but, we're not going to knock them as much as in the pilot when she's wearing them in the woods because she's on mostly paved or manicured grass. Yeah. She is also wearing a scrunch sleeve white leather jacket.
It's cute.
One of two scrunch sleeve leather jackets she wears in this episode. So she looks really cute. Little plaid top, skinny jeans. She looks great. So Elena tells Bonnie she hasn't heard from Stefan, but they haven't exchanged phone numbers yet. So how did she expect to hear from him? Yeah. And, she's going on to just say the timing feels off. And Bonnie is, of course, a great friend, but she's also being really honest with Elena, and Elena's well, at least I put myself out there. And Bonnie's is that what you're calling it?
Yeah.
And she's just she's oh, when is the timing ever right? Et cetera. And so Bonnie says, all I'm hearing is reasons why you can't. So she's great. She's both supportive, but she's pushing her, right? In a direction that she knows she wants to go.
And I love that because sometimes you do need your friend to just push you further along, especially I think when you're coming from a more reserved space, space, just having like a friend yes-anding your trepidation is always really good. So Bonnie continues to be amazing, and I love her.
So then we see Caroline walk away from the randos she was talking to and smiles. She catches sight of Damon. He stands in the distance with his hands clasped in front of him, and he's staring at her. I think he looks so fucking goofy and so weird. But, it's a moment. And she approaches him, and I really have to give her props for her confidence because I don't think as a 17-year-old girl, some guy that I like saw anywhere and thought was hot, that I would just like approach him like that, So that's great. But he disappears, and so she's disappointed and she walks away. But now we have to talk about her outfit because it is so bad. So she's wearing a yellow strapless baby doll dress with. It's gray, right? I mean, I'm colorblind. So gray. Genuinely, the fact that I'm even remotely seeing that these colors are like not going together, but it's like this gray cropped shrug with ruffles. Then she's wearing brown boots and then like layered necklace, like long necklace. And the hoop earrings I don't have a problem with. But it is just so... Who did you get dressed in the dark?
I mean, just all of it is like especially like yellow. Like Caroline's very like fair too, so like just the yellow is just and blonde.
All
as
of the
well.
colors are like it's like a really pale gray. It's like a pale yellow.
I'm like, Caroline, what? I mean, you slayed on the hair, but this fit is not it.
If it was a white cardigan and lighter colored shoes that made more sense with the outfit, maybe. But you know what? This outfit is very common to the times, though. So I do feel. I mean, I wore some fits,
Yeah, like it definitely feels like baby doll dresses were 1,000% a thing in 2009. Sometimes, and I know like off pod, we were talking about this, that if it was a little bit cooler, I'm sure she would have had some leggings underneath that baby doll dress for sure.
You need them.
But yeah, like this outfit when honestly, I'm not gonna lie, when I watched the episode for the first time, I like audibly gasped at her outfit. And like, I'm not really like a fashion person. Like I like getting cute and like getting dressed up, but I'm not necessarily somebody that's clicked into like fashion. But so it has to take a lot for me to like really notice a fashion faux pas, if you will. And I feel like this was crazy.
It's a big one. So yikes.
Yikes is right. But moving right along, we are now moving on to our next scene. Uncle Zach tries to be a grown-up, and we are back at the Salvatore boarding house. And the camera pans from outside the house to Stefan's bedroom, and Uncle Zach asks Stefan why Damon is in Mystic Falls while Stefan's putting on his shirt.
Could have been another moment for us to see those abs. It's a really missed opportunity. And I don't forgive them for doing this to me.
Missed opportunity for all of the Stefan heads out there. And Stefan tells Uncle Zach that Damon came back to make Stefan miserable. And Zach brings up Vicki, and then Stefan's like, he took care of it. And when Zach asks if he's sure, Stefan says he's not sure it worked because he's not as strong as Damon. And then Zach asks what happened if Stefan's compulsion doesn't work. And Stefan said that he'll deal with it if it doesn't work. And Zach's just, really asking the questions, being like, is it worth it? Uncle Stefan, this girl you're back here for? I like how they just both call each other uncle. It still cracks me up.
Uncle Stefan, Uncle Zach.
Uncle Stefan and Uncle Zach. But yeah, but Stefan just doesn't reply because he doesn't need to be answering to his nephew uncle. So in our next scene, we're going to our next scene, which is lovingly titled, "You Think Getting Ripped Up by a Rabid Animal Would Merit an Extra Sick Day," which, fair. We're at the grill, and Vicki is out of the hospital, still bandaged up on her neck, and Jeremy asks what she's doing there, and she was trying to like fight with her boss about her schedule. And then we kind of boom across the room to Tyler watching them talk, and he's playing pool. And we're coming back to them, and Jeremy asks if she's okay, and asks if she's in pain, and if she needs something stronger. She's kind of joking with him about them not giving her them being onto her and not giving her any of this, only the kids stuff. So Jeremy hooks her up, and they're being a little flirty, and Tyler comes over because of course he can't resist this, and asking how she is, and she gives him a little bit of a cold shoulder, like she does. Care.
Good for you, Vicki.
And honestly, yeah, good for her. So I'm really glad. Good, Vicki. Yay. Okay.
Improvements. Yes. So then this next scene, we are back in the Mystic Falls town square, and I lovingly named this, "Will You Light My Candle?" for my girl Brenna, who loves Rent.
I do love Rent.
I mean, I love Rent too, but it is your favorite musical,
It is
right?
my favorite musical.
So, had to have that in there. So it's now nighttime. The square is packed with people because it's the night of the Comet. So Elena, Bonnie, and Caroline walk over to Matt and Tyler. Everyone's holding these little chime candles. Matt lights Elena's candle, and I was having so much fun, like being like, he wishes he could light her candle. He's looking at her dreamily. She's uncomfortable and walks away. And who does she see? Stefan. She lights his candle. Yes, she does. Yeah. She looks back at Matt, who's sad, as, is one of his large character traits so far. And she doesn't say anything to Stefan, and she steps forward, looking up at the sky. Stefan comes up behind her and starts talking to her about the comet. We get to see the comet. It's a brief moment, but we get to see it. And, she brings up how, Bonnie's grandmother had said that, all the impending doom. And Stefan says, I think it's just a ball of snow and ice trapped on a path that it can't escape. And once every 145 years, it gets to come home. And this feels very much like a metaphor for Stefan. Like Brenna was saying earlier, the last time the comet went over Mystic Falls was in 1864 when he was turned. And so yes, it's like Stefan gets to come back home.
Yeah.
He apologizes to Elena for yesterday. She says, you spend a lot of time apologizing. And he comes and stands next to her and is trying to reassure her that what happened at the house yesterday had nothing to do with her. She brings up that Stefan didn't tell her he had a brother, and he says, we're not close. It's complicated, right? But again, and I don't know if this is just because, when they filmed the pilot versus the first episode, but it is something that is literally listed as like a spoof on IMDb. Like in the pilot episode, Elena, like when he's asked if he has siblings, he says, none that I talk to. Yeah. So, but then Elena just keeps saying like, I didn't know you have a brother. And so I think that's more so for like the direction the writers wanted to go in. Yeah. But watching it back to back and that it wasn't changed in the pilot, you're like, what?
But wait a minute.
But what about that? She then brings up that Damon mentioned his ex-girlfriend, Catherine. He says it was a long time ago, which we, the audience, know because her picture was dated 1864, right? But Damon has a way of making it seem like it just happened. And Elena doesn't really believe Stefan that he's over it. He steps right in front of her, is trying to get her to look at him. And, she has this whole line about how she gets it. She has a complicated brother. She has a complicated ex. As I mentioned earlier, was like, stop judging Stefan before talking to him. And she's like, yeah, things are too complicated to even like consider dating. And then she says, it's okay. We met and we talked and it was epic. But then the sun came up and reality set in. And they look longingly at each other before she looks away. And then she blows out her candle and walks off.
Oh, bummer. And now we're going on to our next scene. Bathroom meat horror. We are at the grill, And Damon sits at the bar with a beer, and Vicki stops saying that she recognizes him. As she tries to piece together how she knows him, she mentions his face, and her eyes get a little glassy, and then excuses herself. In the bathroom, Vicki goes ahead and takes some more of the pills that Jeremy had given her. Because of course she does. And bends forward to drink water from the faucet. Not sure if I would particularly do that in like a bar, restaurant personally, but hey, whatever works. And then she looks up and Damon is behind her and all vamped out and lunges at her and she screams. And as we are still inside the grill, Jeremy goes up to Tyler, Caroline, Matt, Bonnie, and Elena and asks if they've seen Vicki. And Tyler calls Jeremy Vicki's stalker and outs him as a drug dealer to Elena.
Yikes.
And then Tyler continues on saying that Vicki will never go for him, but Jeremy announces to the entire group that she already did. And
also yikes.
And also yikes. And that he didn't even have to force her into it, pointedly at Tyler.
Yikes.
And Matt asks what that's about to Tyler and then kind of shrugs it off and eventually tells everyone to just shut up and help him find his sister. And everyone goes to look for her. But meanwhile, Elena grabs Jeremy and tries to talk to him about dealing drugs, which, she's really trying to do her best big sister stuff. More of that from like episode 1. And he shrugs her off. Poor Elena. She's just trying to.
She's trying. And then poor Matt is.
Yeah, poor Matt.
He's getting way TMI all around.
Too much TMI
about his sister.
Awful.
So then we move to. We move outside of the grill to the Mystic Falls town square in a scene that we like to call Not Bad. Have you been eating bunnies? So Matt is now outside of the grill. He approaches Stefan and asks if he's seen Vicki. Stefan says no, but I'll keep an eye out for her. And as he goes to walk away, Matt very accusatorily is like, I saw you at the hospital. What were you doing there? And Stefan goes, visiting. And I just like, who asked someone this kind of shit? It's kind of like Elena in the pilot being like, what are you doing in a cemetery? And Stefan's like, visiting family. Like, what do people do in cemeteries besides Brenna and me who like have picnics and
we visit our extended ghostly people.
We make friends every time we go to the cemetery, right? But like, what does he think that Stefan was doing in the hospital, especially because he never saw him in Vicki's room or like directly in front of it? I like, he could have been visiting someone. He could have been giving blood. Like, there's just like so many things, and it's just such a weird, as we talked about, like, he might be picking up on some of the things that it's like showing that he's maybe more tuned into things, but his like focus on Stefan in this regard just seems kind of weird and silly. But so then he does his version of threatening Stefan and tells him that he'll always look out for Elena. Stefan's like kind of listening to him, kind of not, because with his vamp senses, he is hearing Vicki under duress with Damon. So he walks away from Matt, leaves the square, and approaches a building where we see Damon standing on the roof with Vicki, and he's like kind of holding her off over the edge. So Stefan, in a really cool, swift movement, runs and jumps onto the roof. Of course, he tells Damon to let Vicki go, which like Damon's like, okay. And then he's like, well, don't do that, right? So he ends up like just physically letting Vicki like down, not off of the building. So she's just crying on the ground. And he starts to question and kind of berate Vicki of like, what happened to you in the woods? Who attacked you? What attacked you? Until like she gets to the point of saying vampire. And then he decides to be a real dick and compel Vicki that not only was it a vampire, but that it was Stefan. He also rips off her bandage and throws her at Stefan. So her bloody neck is right in Stefan's face. And he's really trying to get Stefan to feed on her. We see Stefan like physically restraining himself. And Damon says, you have two choices. You can feed and make her forget, or you can let her run screaming vampire through the town square. And Stefan's like, is this your big plan? Again, asking his brother repeatedly what his plan is. He's never going to tell you, bro. They never do. But he's like, is exposing me your whole plan? And Damon says, no, I'm trying to get you to remember who you are, which we'll talk more about as the brothers both feud and bond is explored more as the episode goes on. But what's interesting is Stefan's like, you know what? In kind of like a real like screw you moment, is like, let her go. Let her tell everyone that I'm a vampire, and that I'm the one who attacked her. Like, let them stake me. And he's like, because then I'd be rid of you, which is such a mean thing to say. Oof. But I in this moment, like, we get where he's coming from. And like, obviously I'm team Stefan, but like we've spent more time getting to know Stefan. Damon tries to act like he's not affected, but I think he is. Totally. He then grabs Vicki, who is crying, whispers something in her ear, and we see her physically relax. We do want to point out that Damon is really handsy. He's like stroking her hair.
A little weird.
We don't like it. And then Vicki's like, all of a sudden, like, where am I? What happens? Like, oh, I guess I took like some pills. Okay. And she's like, it's not weird to be on a roof. And she leaves the brothers there. Damon says he's going to stick around for a while. And Stefan asks him again what his plan is. And Damon says, that's for me to know and for you to ...
Oh, man. And in our next scene, which is called She is Big on Texting, we're still here at the grill. We're very much in this kind of town square grill, just between those places. Matt helps bandage Vicki's neck. Stefan comes up and Matt thanks him for finding her. So at least finally Matt is, instead of like just questioning Stefan, is actually thanking him for finding her. And Caroline sits with Bonnie, judging Vicki for being a druggie and how they're attention whores. So, which then does debunk my Caroline went over to curl Vicki's hair, but
I still love it though.
But I do still like that headcanon. I'm gonna still stick with it. She can be a friend of me. It's okay.
Well, the actresses are friends in real life, so like I like it.
And so Stefan walks over to them asking if they've seen Elena. And Bonnie, who is once again being a great BFF, because Elena has not, she left, I believe, with Jeremy, right? I think they had left. So Bonnie does, give Stefan Elena's phone number and email, and then says to Stefan that she is big on texting, and that he could tell Elena that she said that. So. As this exchange is happening, Bonnie's giving Stefan the information, and when their hands touch, there's a big, like, just a cue in the music that kind of is signaling Bonnie's picking up on something, and she says to Damon, "What happened to you?" And then walks off, and Caroline just kind of is being very Caroline and is like not fazed by what just happened, but then just says to Damon or to Stefan that she wigs out sometimes, and that feels very Buffy to me, and I really appreciated the use of wigging out, because that's a big word used in Buffy often. So
then we go to the Gilbert's house and a scene that we call You Got Tannered. Elena finds Aunt Jenna in Jeremy's room, and she's going through, drawers in the closet and whatever. She's trying to find Jeremy's drugs and his bong and everything. And she ends up sitting with Elena as like just expressing that she knows she's not doing a great job, and like she didn't need this fucking jackass to tell her that. But Elena assures her, like, you're not screwing up, like, and it's this like heart to heart between them where Jenna's bringing up like how hard it is since she lost her sister and like the big shoes that she's trying to fill. And, Elena's like, is very much parenting her in this moment. It's a really tender moment, though, and in Elena saying to Jenna, like, it's just like the fear talking, you know, kind of thing. You're scared, like we all are. It's like an aha moment for her, and she's like, are you okay? Like, are you gonna be okay? And when Jenna's like, yeah, she's like, okay, I gotta go do something. And so we'll see what she goes and does.
And then on to our next scene titled Cocky Much. We're back at the grill, and Jeremy walks in looking for Vicki, and she is, alas and alack, with Tyler making out by the pool table, and sad Jeremy walks away. Tough one out there for Jeremy. But outside the grill, Caroline is walking to her car, and she hears some footsteps behind her and is looking around. And in the background, we do see a figure standing watching her. And as she keeps walking to her car, the figure like swooshes behind her. She gets to her car and drops the car keys. Just very kind of in that like similar horror tropey stuff that the show's been evoking in some of the like in these last couple episodes. And a sound makes her turn, but then there's nothing there. And as she's calming herself down, she turns back towards the car, and Damon is there again, close. And I don't know. I guess not as close as him and Elena were, but
close,
but still close. And he apologizes for scaring her, and she says she was hoping to see him again, and and he's just very cocky about it. She calls him out on being cocky, and he does agree that he is pretty cocky, and I appreciate that. And they're just having their little moment, which is interesting. So.
Yeah. We'll see more about that in a moment. So then we move to in what is in my opinion, the most important scene we have
big scene
come across. I mean, I would say the hello brother scene is equally important.
Yes, it is. Big scene.
But for me, this scene is everything. We call it Something Always Brings Me Back to You, which is part of the lyrics of Sarah Bareilles' Gravity, which plays as so expertly as this scene begins and then at pivotal moments in the scene. So we are outside of the Salvatore boarding house. Elena rings the doorbell and Stefan answers. When he invites her inside, she's like, but the Comet is this way. So they step outside, and she apologizes for barging in earlier. He says he doesn't like how things went down, like their conversation watching the Comet. And she says how, she went home after that and she was going to do what she does every night, which is write in her diary. But she decided, very mature, that she's going to say to him all the things she was going to write about, which I love that.
Love that.
Good for you. Snaps for you. So Stefan asks what she would have written in her journal. And she talks about a lot of it was giving up, not taking risks, not putting herself out there. But her realizing that all of these are excuses and that really she's just afraid that if she puts herself out there, if she lets herself be happy again, that the world's just going to come crashing down and that she can't survive that, right? She's been through a huge loss, losing her parents. And so Stefan, listens to that, and then he goes, do you want to know what I would write? Because remember, he has a diary too. He has a journal. And so he says, and I swoon. I met a girl. We talked. It was epic. But then the sun came up and reality set in. Well, this is reality right here. And then Elena, she looks at his lips. He leans in and oh my God, they kiss.
And it is epic.
It is epic, and it is so sweet and so perfect. And, they both pull back and look at each other. And then Elena goes back in and it gets a little more handsy and a little more passionate. I'm like, get it, girl. I am literally not okay. I am crying. And I watched this episode 4 times and I am every time unwell. It's just everything from the song choice to the setting to, him tying into her earlier kind of line about, you know,
It's
talking
good.
all night and it was epic, but then the sun came up and it's just like, it's so romantic.
It is. And honestly, like watching it as like being vaguely around the same age as the characters. Well, I mean, not Stefan, but you know, but I guess he's 17-esque.
Yeah.
But it does, like, I know for sure that 17-year-old Brenna was like, oh my God. Because, I mean, it's great. It's a great moment. I can say that even if I don't agree with just Stefan and Elena anyway. But
It's perfect.
I do
No
have
notes.
shout out to the song. I mean, that, like, just with the crescendo in the song and the note just hitting it right there. It's one for the books. So I do think they
It
did good. And right off the heels of that epic, mostly wholesome, I would say. Not even mostly, pretty wholesome.
Definitely wholesome.
We go to our final scene of the episode, which is titled, She's a Minor, Damon. So we are in Caroline's bedroom, and Damon is kissing all up on Caroline's stomach. Hot. And making his way up to her neck. And then he's got his veiny eyes, fangs out, and bites her neck, and she screams, and we cut to the credits. And, you know, it's a little problematic considering she is a minor. And I know that we kind of we're still figuring out how we're feeling about spoilers versus not spoilers, but I don't think it's that spoilery to share the age difference between Stefan and Damon. But they are canonically 7 years apart, which would make, if Stefan was turned as a vampire at 17 years old, that would make Damon, I can't do math, but that's
24.
It's 24.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I was thinking it was 24 or 25, but I'm not good at math. So he's in his mid-20s, which is too old to be hooking up with a 17-year-old. So that's a little gross, Damon. We need to be picking better people to have sexual relations with. Who aren't minors, and
But we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But either way, I mean, it is still steamy, and it's, you know, a solid amount of steam or smut, if you will, if we want to go back to Caroline's original thing. So we love a sex positive Caroline. We still appreciate that in her. So I think we've done it with the recap walkthrough part of the episode. So now we'll move on to folklore.
All right. So now that we've walked through the second episode, we're going to talk about a little bit of relevant folklore. So one of the lines from earlier in the episode is Caroline asking Bonnie, she's like, but wait, are you psychic or clairvoyant? So we decided it would be a fun thing to explore in our folklore today. So first I'm going to tell you just a little bit about clairvoyance and who and what psychics are. And then we'll start to explore whether or not witches are psychic and if Bonnie is in fact psychic. So clairvoyance is taken from the French word clair, meaning clear, and voyance, meaning vision. So it means clear seeing, right? It's really seen as a form of ESP, so extrasensory perception. It is considered a psychic ability, but it doesn't necessarily mean that someone with clairvoyance can see the future. In terms of like what a psychic is, right? Like talking about the future or how we at least see like fortune telling. Psychics are people who have the ability to connect with another person's soul without being given prior information. They can channel someone's past, connect it to their future or connect it to their present and predict their future. Common to psychics is the ability to tap into a person's aura or their energy. Right. And this is different than like someone like Brenna and me who definitely can read energy and like consider ourselves to be empaths and do energy work, but I'm always like, when we sit down for tarot, I'm always like, I'm not a psychic. I cannot read the future. Please give me information about you.
Yeah. Fun fact is depending on your familiarity with tarot, it is often that people do assume because you can read tarot that you can, that you are psychic, and that's not to say you're not. I think that's an innate ability that like it's your intuition. Like, I mean, being psychic is definitely a more advanced form of what an intuition, how everyone's intuition functions, but at least in my kind of own understanding of it. But I mean, I would say, being I would say we're both pretty highly intuitive.
Yeah.
So I'm always a little, I don't like to advertise that if I feel like I can connect in that way, and I feel like you probably feel similarly to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It also just can get weird because then sometimes people are like almost kind of testing you, and I'm like, I'm just trying to give you a tarot, like a 10-minute tarot reading at a party. Let's just get to it. So in terms of like psychics or clairvoyance, this can mean seeing the future, but more than anything, it's about seeing beyond the physical world. Yeah. And I think that ties into what you were saying, Brenna. It often is an innate ability, but it is something like there are plenty of books out there that will talk about how you can start to really like work on these different kind of like extrasensory perceptions, right? But some people are more naturally attuned to specific things.
Just
right?
I think it's just in the same way that people have certain like athletic ability or just certain gifts, like even if you're really good at math, which I'm clearly not, or like everybody has their own thing. And I feel like that is the same way that functions as well. So.
I agree. So in terms of clairvoyance, it might show up through dreams, symbols, and imagery. It could show up through colors and light, which I thought was really interesting. And then there's clairvoyance, right, which we've talked about, but then there's clairsentience, clairaudience, and claircognizance. And these are all, again, still extrasensory perception, but in different ways. So clairsentience is the ability to sense the energy around them, a location, a person, or an object. I feel like that's more attuned to like what I have, right?
Yeah.
That I can definitely read things from people's energy.
Yeah.
There's clairaudience, which is the act of hearing this form of auditory guidance. This could be through a voice or even music that exists beyond normal perception. So this could be intuition. This could be spirits. And then there's claircognizance, which is clear knowing, insider knowledge about a person, event, and so on. So again, this is kind of like a quick 101 breakdown of all of these things. But are witches psychic? The answer is going to be they can be, but they aren't necessarily.
Yeah.
It's just like you can be a witch and be pagan.
Yeah.
But you could be pagan and not consider yourself a witch.
Yeah.
You can read tarot and be a witch, or you can read tarot and not be a witch, right? So it depends on the person, right? It's individualized. Yeah. And then in terms of the question, is Bonnie psychic or clairvoyant? I don't know about psychic specifically, but I do think that there could be some clairvoyance there for sure. Because she is seeing, in the pilot episode, she sees a crow, she sees a fog and a man when she touches Elena, right? Yeah. She also has this feeling of impending doom. So to me, this feels very much like clairvoyance in that it's manifesting through images, and then also maybe claircognizance in that she has a clear sense of danger approaching.
Yeah.
Do you think she's hitting any of the other clairs?
I'm trying to think, like, just through some of the... I mean, I guess she hasn't really I don't think we've seen her hear anything, but
we might. Stay tuned.
But yeah, I think right now, I mean, maybe a little bit, because you said claircognizance, right? So, or is that what you said? Claircognizance?
I said clairvoyance and claircognizance.
And yeah, so like maybe a little, I would wager she might even have a little bit of the clairsentience too.
Yeah.
I still, so far, it's been mostly when she's, but you know, because sensing energy around, like, because touching, like, you know, Stefan's hand, or even when she was, you know, when Elena was giving her crystal ball and like touching, like there was a little bit of that going on too. So I think, like she has like that physical touch that's kind of igniting some more insight to what's going on, even if it's not like fully clear yet. Because it seems that whatever Bonnie's experiencing, it's definitely at the beginning of her awareness of it. So she's kind of working towards it, but she definitely's got something going on.
She's got something going on, and we'll learn more about that, and hopefully more about the cool Salem witch chicks.
Yeah.
From her ancestry.
That's what I want to know, and I want to meet Grams, because
I want to meet Grams, and let's debunk let's find out whether or not she's an alcoholic.
Yeah,
but we really feel like she's not.
No, I think she's just an eccentric lady, and that's not even. I'm not even going to go even more into that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. So then we wanted to talk about comets
too.
too.
Okay, so we figured it would be fun to, since this episode is around a comet, I wanted to like give a little like quick and dirty overview, again, like a very like 101 high level. So throughout history, comets have been considered a sign of impending doom or a message from the gods. So there is already this like very ancient historical context that comets do carry some kind of like sign of something bad that's coming. And I mean, the potential like more scientific like reasoning behind that could be because they're a little erratic in nature, or so they're not, you know, something that's like easily predictable, or like something that can be tracked in the way that some of the other celestial bodies are. Or like, so when like astronomers were doing those kinds of things and really paying attention to the stars, they just kind of come out of nowhere, so that is off-putting, right? So there's a little bit of uncertainty there, which can create some anxiety. I'm sure, especially for people, you know, who had way less context of these things than we do today.
Way less.
And then some cultures would read into comets based on what they looked like the tail of the comet, and maybe like just how it was appearing in the sky. So some cultures would say like a comet could look like a woman with really long hair, signaling some kind of like sorrow or like sad event coming. Or like in more of an angry context, that they're like the gods were not pleased with people looking in the sky and kind of making these inferences. Naturally, legends become, you know, people are telling stories to make sense of the things that they're seeing. So there's a lot in the Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh. There is like fire, brimstone, and flooding come after an arrival of a comet. I feel like we need to like compile all these books. I also have not read Epic of Gilgamesh, which I feel like is
I have not. No,
like we got to start making a list.
We do
to read some of these texts, but yeah, so that's also just kind of like furthering the narrative, right? Like even if it is like a legend, it's still kind of feeding into that. And then a lot of comets just happen in like throughout history did appear like through some pretty like catastrophic like events that happened, like whether it was like Halley's Comet has been blamed for earthquakes or illnesses, or even the birth of two-headed animals. Those are like from Switzerland, and then the Romans recorded that a fiery comet marked the assassination of Julius Caesar.
Wild.
And or was blamed for like the extreme bloodshed. So in England, Halley's Comet was also blamed. Halley's Comet got a lot of blame here, for bringing the Black Death. Thankfully, actually, in China, there was like an affinity for studying the stars. So Chinese folks keyed into comets a little more closely and ended up starting to compile more kind of information over time, which then slowly started to like debunk that. But I thought that was really cool because I mean, I definitely didn't know that. Yeah. But yeah, so they were kind of, I think like dating back to I think dating back to like the Han Dynasty or something. Like so they were really keyed in onto like figuring out what these little rogue stars were doing out there. I feel like in ancient times there was always kind of like bad shit happening. Yeah. So like it was very easy to explain that these comets were
tying them to like specific,
that they were like heralding these things in. And one other just fun thing that I wanted to like pull a connection to is I mean, and I'm sure it'll come up again, and I may or may not have already spoken of it in previous, like in our previous episode or even our teaser, but I'm a big like A Song of Ice and Fire girly. I love Westeros and like the extended world. So I would have to, if we were talking about comets, like the Red Comet in like A Song of Ice and Fire series is a very big like thing that happens in the books and in the show, and it's definitely everybody's interpreting the comet as, you know, whether it's like Daenerys and like it's like heralding her coming or the coming of the dragons, or for Stannis Baratheon and Melisandre, it's like heralding that he is Azor Ahai, which is like the like Lightbringer, like, and he's with Lightbringer. There's a lot of lore there. I won't go into it too much to unpack it, but it's just these people taking. You can see this in literature too, that people are that, you know, from, I'm sure Martin took that, you know, the stuff from the historical context and then kind of worked it into his story to like herald these different like signs and things that were to come. And I think that for our story here in the Vampire Diaries, having this episode be so early on in the season does also feel very much like a heralding of things to come. And even with Bonnie's, you know, when Bonnie was at Mystic Grill with Elena and with Caroline, just saying how that her Grams had said that the last time the comet was here, it became a hotbed of paranormal activity, which feels very much like history repeating itself.
Sure does.
So it was just fun to kind of tie that all in together, and I kind of love that they did that. And also, fun fact, there's currently a comet just floating around right now, the 3I Atlas, I believe, that was like discovered in the summer. And I think that as of this recording, I don't know, or like when this episode comes out, it's apparently going to be getting like pretty cozy to Jupiter.
Interesting.
So I don't know. There was like stuff, but it was getting like very like NASA heavy, and I was like, I don't know if we have time to unpack all that on this podcast. But it was very interesting to know that. So yeah. So that's a little bit about comets.
So now we can move into our hot takes, final thoughts. So I guess I'll jump in.
Jump right in.
I'm still thinking about that kiss. I love it so much. No notes. Chef kiss. Ugh. What else? I feel badly for Jeremy. A thing I didn't think I'd say. I didn't feel that way in the last episode. I weirdly agree with Mr. Tanner. The only time I'm ever going to say that. But in the parent-teacher conference from hell, and he brings up to Jenna that it's obvious to him that Jeremy is using drugs and that he thinks he's using it as a coping mechanism. And so while I think he's really terrible in how he talks to Jenna, I do think that he's trying to cope, and he's not coping very well, right? He's all in on Vicki, and she gives him a little bit of hope in this episode and then just crushes him. So I want him to have some self-esteem. When a girl tells you that people can't know about the two of you because she finally has a shot with a guy who tried to rape her, I think it's a sign to walk away.
Yeah.
We've talked about Jenna a lot. Props for her for like doing her best, but I would really like to see her kind of step into her role as guardian a little bit more. I am very intrigued by Bonnie's ancestry and what we saw when she touched Stefan, and starting to see more of her Claire senses. Yeah. I'm excited to see where that comes to be, especially with what the comet potentially has foreshadowed for us. I have to say, I actually like Damon's sense of humor. And there seems to be a little bit more to him in this episode, especially, you know, on the roof with Stefan, of like his methods. I have lots of question marks and comments for, but of saying like, I want you to remember who you are. And through that, it seems also like the quiet part is like, and who we were, you know? And so I'm interested to see kind of that. Going in a totally, I don't have anything nice to say about Damon way. Got to bring up my girl Caroline. I literally laughed when I wrote this line, which is, Caroline needs the fashion police. She does. But maybe the actual police too, because she is a minor. And Damon definitely is not. We get to see a little bit more in terms of kind of the vampire powers. So that's cool, and I'm excited to see more of that. One more Damon thing. His hair is all over the place in this episode. Do you think it looks good?
I mean, I was actually wondering, and I'm sure we will probably be paying attention. Like, I always I love trying to see if it's like a wig or not. And it's like hard to tell, like, because sometimes, like, I mean, even if it's very close to like the actor's natural hair, just depending on it, it could be, I mean, because Ian Somerhalder does have like a pretty nice flow. Like, he's got great hair.
He's beautiful
so
hair.
It probably is his like actual hair, but I don't know if they were just trying to do like, and because I feel this would be I would imagine if you're styling or like you're the costume and or makeup department for a show, trying to give these two brothers like some difference, because it's usually Stefan's very like just clean cut, like put together, like his hair
my
is
favorite haircut,
very Christina's favorite haircut, but so like having Damon's hair just like a little more wild and a little more unruly, I think
which makes sense,
feels like that's like an intentional choice. I mean, yeah, it's a little like all over the place, which is why I had a moment where I was like, is he wearing a wig? Or like, because his hair is like it's cropped a lot closer to his head in the first episode.
Yeah,
like,
I
know
wondered.
what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. I also just like the way they have it, like, like all like I don't know, like set up. I wonder too if this was also like the hair and makeup department being like, well, let's try it this way.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
because like we see like his hairstyled like 4 different ways, and sometimes it looks really good and like a sexily like messed up
a tussle.
And then sometimes it's like a really good tussle, and then sometimes it's like, what is happening? So I just had to ask you about
maybe Caroline also.
Maybe she's in cosmetology school.
Maybe Caroline, after they're done doing whatever they're doing, as long as she probably will most likely be compelled to forget that Damon bit her neck, hopefully maybe she can curl Damon's hair.
Oh my God.
This.
I mean, we can only hope. I love just this really wild and random place that you've gone with it, and I'm so here for it. But Brenna, do you have any hot takes or final thoughts for the episode?
I do, and not a ton, because I feel like we did like hit a lot of them like through the episode, and we did get to like spend a good time like as we hit them, but I know I had mentioned, I called this out with like the vampire like powers being on display, but more notably the like closed door situation, because I don't think like Damon like fast vamp moved. I mean, he could have, but like I just don't ever remember reading in vampire lore of just like being able to like just close a door. I mean, unless he's like, I mean, I guess if we're going off of the vampires controlling, like manipulating some weather aspects, maybe maybe just a gentle breeze closed the door. I don't know. So that was interesting. I mean, I know it's just to kind of make that heightened effect of things being kind of spooky when Elena's in there, but it was just something that maybe went, huh, that's interesting. But actually, like, the biggest thing that I want to kind of keep an eye on is what was going on with Damon and Stefan on that roof after Vicki kind of shuffled out of there. And just, it seems like like you were saying, there's more to Damon than I think meets the eye. He has a terrible way of going about whatever he's trying to get from
whatever
Stefan.
His plan he won't tell Stefan
whatever his plan is. I do think that there's clearly some, you know, not only rivalry between the brothers, but like there's some deep, I sense there's like some pain there, because really when Stefan does just decide to be like, hey, guess what? I don't care. Let Vicki run around and tell everybody that I'm a vampire, and then I can be like rid of you. I think that is, and then Damon changing the like more like just him like going from like trying to like harm Vicki to then like backpedaling is pretty notable to me. And I think that I'm excited to kind of keep exploring their like really weird dynamic and learn more.
I love that. Amazing. So, just a couple more things we'll do before we wrap up this episode. So we'll move into our favorite line.
Yeah.
Mine, I think, is pretty... Well, I have to bring up, you know, the first kiss and that whole kind of dialogue between both of them.
Yeah.
I love it. But I think my truly favorite line from the episode is, not bad. Have you been eating bunnies?
That is good. That's a good one.
What about you?
Mine is, and that's for me to know and for you to ... And I just...
Perfect.
It's just such a Damon...
It's such a Damon, and it's
thing,
but it's also like great because it's like doing double work too, in that the audience is like, but we also want to know what you're doing. What are you doing?
Yeah, so
amazing.
It's a great one. That's a fun line. All right, it's that time for Fuck, Marry, Kill.
My favorite time of the episode.
Well, you went first last time, so do you want me to? Wait, no, did I go first last time?
I don't know. Remember.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I think I have my answers ready.
Yes.
So I'm going to say I'm going to fuck Caroline, because she looks... I mean, her hair looks great all episode. That one outfit is trashed. But when we see her in a bra later, like, girl's looking good. So I'm going to fuck Caroline. Let's go. Also, she seems like a real sex-positive girlie, and
I do love that.
I just love her. I'm marrying Stefan, obviously. That kiss, the way he looks at Elena, how like, he's just perfect. Okay, so I'm marrying him all damn day. And then kill. This one I feel like is actually not as like cut and dry for me as it was in the pilot, but I think I'm going to kill Mr. Tanner just because of the parent-teacher conference from hell, and like how even him saying like, oh, a great tragedy. Like, he says it in that kind of way. He's just such a turd. And I haven't called someone a turd in a really long time, but he deserves it. So, props to the person who played Mr. Tanner. I don't know that actor's name off the top of my head, but you really sold it. He's also a terrible character in the books. But he's done. He's dead. What about you?
Oh, man. This is, like, tough. I'm trying to think of everybody in this episode, but I think, all right. The person I would fuck, and hear me out. I'm gonna fuck Matt, and here's
why.
Okay, well, here's why.
Okay,
it's not because he was doing anything particularly sexy, but I do feel like he's just sad and he just needs a pick me up. Oh my god. And he's pretty. He's got those baby blues. Yeah. He's cute. And I just, he's just like having a tough time because he's like his ex-girlfriend's brother is like fucking his sister, and then his friends maybe fucking his sister. So maybe he just needs it, I think so. So is
this a pity fuck?
I think so.
Except, like, he really is hot.
Yeah, he is hot.
Like, you could do worse.
Yeah. So I'm like, hell, I'm down. Let's do it. that same I know that you will be fucking Caroline because she is her sex positive girly, but I think I will marry her to
I support you.
To just, you know, because maybe this is the last time I'll do it because maybe she can curl my hair.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
I feel like we have to create a meme after recording this of we have to find a scene from anything that Candace has done and just make this happen. And honestly, I feel like because she seems just like a real one and she does such fun content on her page that maybe we could get her to do something with us. Candace, call us.
Yeah, please.
We're in. We see this whole other arc for your character.
It's like Caroline's going to cosmetology school. And honestly, like, my hair is curled because I had it curled from a party that I had gone to over the weekend. And so my hair's looking a little flat today, but maybe she could help me, you know? That's like what wives would do.
I mean, her hair always looks great in real life. So
I know.
I'm sure she could help you.
Yeah, right. So, and then Kill. Oh, man. I feel like this is tough. I feel there's two ways I could do this, and they're both going to make me seem rude. And I think I'm going to kill Jeremy because Jeremy honestly is just being such a little shit, and he's just like making things unnecessary.
He's a punk.
Yeah, he's a punk, and he's making things unnecessarily difficult for the women in his life. Like whether it's Elena and Jenna just like trying to help him, or Vicki, who's very clearly said that she kind of just is not into it, even though she is appreciative of him helping her out, like when she was in a time of need, but clearly she doesn't want to. So Jeremy, see you later.
Love it.
Okay. Well, alrighty. I think that's a wrap for today.
I think it is.
Are there any reminders before we sign off for the time being?
Yeah, well, happy St. Patrick's Day. And if you aren't already following us on Instagram at Hello Sister Podcast, please give us a follow.
Yes. And thank you, Christina, for your insight into episode 2 today. And I'm still like shocked we're doing this. I'm excited to be here on the journey with you.
I love it as much as Caroline's alter ego / career.
Oh my God. And then thank you to our husbands once again, Dwight Evan Young and Alex Schneider, for helping us look and sound good. They are the real ones.
Yeah. Thank you, Bren, as always, for being just the best person to gab all things vampire with. And thank you to all of our wonderful listeners for listening to Hello Sister.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello Sister is written, directed, and hosted by Christina Rosso-Schneider and Brenna Dinon. Graphic designs are by Alex Schneider. Music is written and produced by Dwight Evan Young. Sound design and video are recorded and produced by Dwight Evan Young and Brenna Dinon. Hello Sister Podcast is a Bad Day Media production. And we're doing good. Hell yeah, bro.